Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the session where we look forward to having an interesting dialogue and some details about some of the very interesting electives being offered by one of our programs. I'm Dr. Amir Hassan. I'm the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education and Accreditation at Habib University, and I'll be moderating the session for today. For some of you who have just joined us, the way we will proceed with the session is that we will talk about the importance of these natural science electives, and we will ask some of the faculty members and some deans as well to talk about the importance of these electives. I would request everyone, as far as the norms for this session is concerned, that unless you are participating in a discussion, asking a question, if you could mute your mic, if everyone can mute their mics and their cameras, I would request everyone. Can everyone please mute their mic, please?
Eamon, can you listen to me?
Ji sir, I can hear you.
Okay, so I would request everyone if they could switch off their mics and mute their mics when they're not talking, and only switch on the cameras and the mics when you are participating in the discussion. I'll be very thankful for that. The way we will conduct this session is that we'll talk about these electives, we'll talk about the importance of these electives, and maybe around towards the end, we'll leave about at least 25 to 30 minutes or maybe 20 to 25 minutes for the students to ask questions directly to the faculty, those who are offering these electives. I'm very thankful to every faculty member who's here. For some of you who are not aware, we are right in the midst of completing our semester, so these are as busy schedules as it gets. I'm also thankful to the Office of Student Success for continuing to provide opportunities for our new students to be aware of what's happening at the university and what are some of the courses they can take. And I'm also very thankful to the AHSS freshmen, given the fact that we are going through a number of outages issue, but you took the time out to join this session. So without much ado, I would request if Massimo could please switch on the camera. And I wanted to talk briefly about Dr. Massimo Remioli, who's the Assistant Dean for the School of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. He completed his Bachelor's of Arts in Social Sciences for Cooperation and Development, and a Master's in African and Asian Studies at the University of Pavia, Italy. Subsequently, he moved to the School of Oriental and African Studies, London, to gain a second master's in the Middle East politics. He then obtained a PhD in the political science at Syracuse University, US. Before joining Habib University, he was an intern at the Italian Embassy in Nairobi, and he taught for 2 years at the Center for International Exchange Education in Amman, Jordan. I have worked with him for at least the last 1 year, where I was working with him in the Faculty Senate. He's an extremely brilliant faculty member and a very one of the most famous faculty members we have in terms of the student liking. He writes regularly for the Italian Research Center and think tank and politics as well. My request requesting Massimo to come and talk to you was more about his passion as well, that how important it is for the AHSS students to take electives from natural science area. So thank you very much, Massimo, for joining us, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Amer, for that gracious introduction. And I do not feel I totally deserve, but thank you so much for your kind words. I am extremely happy to join today. As Amer said, this is a very busy time for everybody, for students and faculty alike, right? So I really appreciate everybody here taking the time. I would like to, limit my words to a couple of minutes, maybe 3 minutes, to let my dear colleagues in DSSC to go into the nuts and bolts of natural science courses, right? I'm glad to see here Samina, Sarah, Abdullah, all people that I'm really glad to work with. My words, therefore, will be more of a general level, right? I study political science. That's what I do, and I have basically no real knowledge of the natural science words, the subjects that are, the domain of the SSC. But I never fail to be fascinated by that world, right? So my intervention here will be more general, but I would like to share with you guys this little anecdote. No more than a month ago, I had a brief 1-hour talk online with Italian high schoolers, right? A friend of mine teaches in an Italian high school, and he was like, Massimo, why don't you, tell something to these students of mine about your experience? How's the world outside Italy, and stuff like that. Like, yeah, well, I'm gonna be very happy. Most of these, high school students, most of whom are going to go in the university next year, right? So basically your same age group. It just come out of a philosophy class. And a lot of them were like, yeah, we do not know why we have to study all these, philosophers, why we have to bother with Hobbes, why we have to bother with Kant, with Marx. I mean, why? And I'm like, guys, this is a great opportunity you have to be able to read reality. They give you a language. You become literate in understanding reality. And this is exactly what happens if you engage in other subjects as well outside your normal field of interest. Becoming, at least literate in biology, in physics, right? In chemistry, makes you a better reader of reality, makes you capable of read what's around you, right? You can read reality at so many different levels, right? Social, political, economic, cultural, but then also biological, physical, chemistry-wise. It's just about becoming more literate students, more literate human beings overall. So that's a very, lofty goal, perhaps a lofty image that I'm offering to you guys here. But then this has immediate implications for the most pressing issues that our world is facing. Let's just consider, for example, the COVID pandemic. It's a public health issue. So it involves necessarily a social aspect and a scientific aspect, right? Think about global warming. It entails an economic aspect and an environmental aspect. Think about renewable energies, right? It entails public financing of certain activities and research, and then the scientific aspect of developing these new energies. So just like we try to suggest the moment you step into Habib, right? Reality is much more complex than just mere natural science or social sciences. You need to become literate in both. And the great thing, and this is the last point I wanna make here, is that at Habib, you do have this amazing opportunity to really take electives in fields such as natural sciences with great professors that can really make your understanding of our complex reality as complete, as detailed, as useful as possible. I wish, when I studied in Italy to have this opportunity, but I studied political science. Nobody was taking natural science courses, right? With the benefits of hindsight, I am telling myself now, boy, this is great for Habib students to have the possibility to actually do this. So do not squander, do not waste that possibility. And this is it from me, Amer. I'll be happy, of course, to have any questions asked me from my students. But please, Amer, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Massimo. As usual, you were crisp and sharp. I wanted to let the students know how would we proceed, and as well as the esteemed faculty, that how would we proceed. We will do a small faculty introduction who would be teaching that course, and then we'll be requesting a faculty to talk about that course as well, and maybe take about 3 minutes on an average, so that we could leave questions towards the end. And this is the sequence that we have planned, that we'll start with Samina, and then Humaira, and then Humaira Qureshi, and Abdullah and Sara. But I know a lot of faculty members are extremely pressed. For any reason, you have an urgency, you could just text me, so we could change the schedule as well. In between, after Humaira, we'll request Zen also to talk about his perspective as well, and a message to the students as well. So now I would request Samina if she can switch on her camera and talk about these electives from her program perspective as well, but more so about her course as well. So over to you, Samina, and thanks for joining us.
Hello. Okay.
Yes, Samina, I can hear you, but I can't see your picture as of now.
Okay, just hold on. Hello, everyone.
Yes, Samina, we can see you and I can hear you. Thank you very much for joining us. Over to you.
Can you come again? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Samina, I can hear you and I can see you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Amer and OAP's office for arranging this webinar for introduction of natural science courses to our students. How much time do I have? Okay, so I would like to
about four minutes, Samina. 4 minutes.
Just for my course, or?
So you could take about 5 minutes overall for the course, as well as a little bit about your program as well.
Okay. So hello everyone. I'm Dr. Samina Shahzaman. I'm a program director of Integrated Sciences and Mathematics, which is commonly known as iSciM, and I'm an assistant professor of physics. And I did my PhD from Technical University Vienna in 2011, and I'm affiliated with the Habib University for about 3 years now. So this whole webinar, I would like to welcome you all to this webinar once again, and I would like to share with you that in Integrated Sciences and Mathematics, we have a number of different offerings and strengths, but here we are just going to talk about our natural science offerings for AHSS. So like Massimo, I mean, he had a conversation with his students. I had a conversation with the students during my interview sessions with Habib University, and I figured out one common issue with all the students from humanities background, and that was that they felt that sciences is for a specific kind of people. The way it is designed, the way it is executed, the way it is delivered in the classes, so they require some special kind of skills to be in them. So and the second thing which came up again and again in the interviews was that they said that the faculty was not enthusiastic while they were having their basic sciences courses in high school and in high school. So so these two were the key main issues that the students were referring to again and again. And I agree to that to some extent, that this is true, because sometimes in high school the faculty is forced to teach out of their area of expertise, and that limits their understanding or their engagement with the students, so they cannot explore out different options unless and until they are from the field. And sometimes they are not interested to teach it in that in a very engaging way. So in integrated sciences and mathematics, we have the privilege of designing some fascinating and spectacular list of natural science courses for you, and which you will see in a while. These courses are all 100 level. They do not have any prereqs, and you cannot have that excuse that you need to have some some scientific background in order to sit in these classes. So they are all freshman level. They have no pre-requirement for these courses. Further to that, I would like to state out one more point, that faculty here is highly enthusiastic in hosting you in their classes, and they have created a very conducive syllabi so that you could enjoy these courses in their classes. So so with that, I would move on to my course. If you would allow me, I would like to share my screen if possible. Is it possible? I'm not
sure,
really
go ahead.
Okay, let me just do that. So let me share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet, Samina.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, something is coming. Yes, I can see it now, Samina.
So this is a course. This is a 100 level introduction to nanoscience course. This is my own field. I mean, this is a watered down version of introduction to material science. And this is a very interesting course, and we ran it once in spring, and the students really enjoy it. I would like to take you through the different features of this course. So initially the plan was to have it in a lecture style, but then I realized it was not going to work. So we had more of a group setting for them, and that was more interactive. The students were interacting with one another while they were doing the activities around the different topics that they wanted to that I wanted them to learn in the course. So this course had three key main features. So if you look at nanoscience and nanotechnology, all the terminologies are very intimidating. But what we did is that we just broke down all of them into different key terminologies, and then we explained all of them in a very engaging manner. And also the students could identify and they can calculate all the different properties which are the key feature of nanomaterials. And the students were also very enthusiastic in presenting the ideas which connect nanoscience to the problems which are existing currently in our society. Okay, so these were the three key main features of our course, and the whole of so the assessments were the regular assessments. We had quizzes, we had assignments, we had presentations, final exam. So this is one of the a few of the sample activity sheets for our introduction to nanoscience course. So instead of giving them a lecture, which is a kind of a monologue, I prefer to give them activity sheets where they were discussing with one another, and wherever they were struggling, I would step in to help them and assist them through the content. And this is one of the activity, these are one of those activity sheets. You could see that they are dealing with the complex structures in a very engaging and in a very learning a supportive environment. Okay, so this is one of the activities that we, somehow the screen is frozen. Okay, so this is the activity session that we carried out in Playground. Playground is one of our resource place where we can conduct our classes whenever we require. So these are the two key fundamental ideas in nanoscience that we learned through building the blocks. So one is the bottom-up approach, and the other is top-down approach. So the students were able to appreciate the two approaches by going through this activity in a very fun and engaging manner. The students really reported positive feedback for this activity. There was another activity which we planned, and that was constructing different structures. So whenever we talk about the materials have different kinds of structures. So these structures need to be understood by heart in order to build upon the properties later on in the course. So you can see that they are constructing the body-centered cube, and they're also constructing the face-centered cube. It's very intimidating, but when they were doing it, they really enjoyed it, and they could understand it, and they could really relate to it later, that this was the activity that introduced them to those fundamental ideas to which even the experts of the field are not directly exposed. So if you see here, I can show you this here. Can you see this? So this is one of the models that I have constructed and I have used for three-dimensional imaging and explanation of different models. So this is just one of the models. I have also utilized other resources to explain these ideas. And further to that, we also had a plan for, we can have a plan for field trips, provided we get a chance to do that. So if you have any question regarding this course, it looks really intimidating that, nanoscience, nanotechnology, I don't know what kind of the terminology or what kind of prereq would be required for you. Nothing is required. Only your interest is required. And I would highly appreciate that you go through all the courses, interesting courses that will be laid out to you in a few moments. Ecology, for example, health sciences, and then we have information age. All these courses are really going to add value to your resume. So, okay, so I can see Dr. Amer's indication that my time is up. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. With that, I would conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Samina. I would like to apologize on two things. I couldn't introduce you, but I have worked with Samina for quite some time, both as a program director. She's an excellent physicist. She's one of our passionate teachers and continues to radiate positivity to both faculty and students. I would now request Dr. Humaira Jamshed if she can switch on her camera and mic. Dr. Jamshed completed her PhD in health sciences and her first postdoctoral fellowship in nutrition from Aga Khan University. Recently, she completed her second postdoctoral fellowship from the University of Alabama at Birmingham in US. While in US, Dr. Jamshed continued professional development at her university and also got a diploma in clinical and translational sciences and a training certificate in mentoring and leadership. Humaira was so excited about this seminar that she said that she's willing to teach another section if you all want her to do so. So over to you, Humaira. You have two courses to cover. I would request if you could wrap them up in 5 minutes just to save time for the students to ask questions. Thank you, Humaira.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amer, for it's an honor to be here and to be talking to this audience. I hope all of you can hear me and see me properly. I will not take a lot of time introducing my courses. What I have done is in the chat section, I have uploaded one video from each of my courses. So the first course that I will talk about is food and nutrition. This is a course and it also has a lab component. So I have one video for the course, one video for the lab. That explains all the logistics about what kind of topics would be covered, what type of pedagogies would be included, how the learning would be monitored, how the assessments would be done. So all the things that you probably want a syllabus to understand, you can watch them through these 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes brief videos that are available if you decide to initiate an interest in the course. The other course that I'll be talking about is Global Health and Disease. So instead of talking about generally natural science course, the way I like to talk about them is just look at the topic, look at the title of the course, and then you can decide for yourself whether it's something that you might be interested in. Everybody eats. So I know that you might be, you may or may not be a junkie. You may be like a food junkie. This is what I'm talking about. So it's possible that you love to eat food. It's possible that you just eat to survive. It's possible that you're surviving on just pizzas or just biryanis or just homemade food. Or it's possible that currently you are frustrated that you want to eat hotel restaurant foods and you just have to stick to your home cooked food. So whatever your life situation is, whatever your age is, you probably have a huge role of food in your life. Exam के stresses के अंदर you have different kind of food choices to make because you need instant foods, instant energy. You might be binge eating some chocolates. So these are just to give you a background of if you eat food, it's a good idea to get to know what food does to your body, what food is made up of, what kinds of food can be good for you, what kind of foods can be bad for you. If we say that this food is not good for you, why do we say that? What is the supporting evidence? Why, in terms of nutrients, what does it do to your body? It's been said that you are what you eat. So, and food can be your medicine. So let Thai food be your medicine. So these are certain things that are like old sayings, but they are like wisdom of our elderly. And how much is it really true? What's the science behind it? That's all what we'll be talking about in our food course. The labs are amazing. So from what So from the student feedback that I've had in the previous semester, it's been really good. Students have enjoyed it. If they were interested in taking the course, then they would love it. If they are they're taking it only for the sake of yaar ye zarurat puri karni hai, then they're usually like ye kya padhe hain, kyun padhe hain. But if you're at all interested in knowing anything about food, this is the place to be. So from nutrition research to food policies to how the food choices we make affect our lives, our moods, our health, our IQ even. So these are certain things that we will be talking about in our food course. The best experience would be if you take this course with a lab, but of course you can take it without a lab. You can take it only the lab part and not the course part, but I would always suggest to take it with lab. We do all sorts of experiments in the course. We collect data for your own food consumption, what you've been eating, what not, and how good or bad is it? Would it be okay once you actually know what the food is made up of? Are you okay with your food choices and all those things? In the lab, I asked my students to make a video, go do a survey. Some of the questions that student did a mini research on was, what if biryani gets banned? What if there's no charcoal for barbecue items? How would you make barbecue? What if you are not allowed to eat burgers anymore? So how would you react? And in terms of health consequences, what would that look like? So these were just certain things that students wanted to do a mini research on, and they ended up making a video on their research. So that's just to give you an idea about what kind of things we'll do in that course. The second course that I'd like to just briefly give you an overview of is Global Health and Disease. Global means international and disease means disease. So what could be a better time to take this course than right now? You have an international crisis right now for the COVID-19. So that's something that even if the students who were rarely ever thinking about disease, they thought that they were living a healthy life, and even if there's a disease, they won't affect us. Now you can understand that just one infection from one virus can change the whole world, not just like the health status of the world, the mental state, the economics, the politics, and like everything everywhere is just like there's been an earthquake for everything just because of that one teeny tiny virus. So it's very, very important to understand the global picture of health and disease. So it's not just disease, it's of course health as well. In this course, we talk about social determinants of health, we talk about human rights, we talk about natural disasters and complex humanitarian emergencies, we talk about adolescent health, maternal and child health. So these are all topics that cater to a general population and not very specific to a bio background as you might think. In the previous semester, I've had students who have just studied 8th grade biology, and there were certain students who have never studied biology. So I'm totally fine with students with absolutely no background of biology, just to make you comfortable. A brief example is that currently in the semester I'm teaching biochemistry, and my 6-year-old daughter is usually sitting in the background and she's listening to my lecture, and at the end of the course, at the end of this session, she would ask me questions that this is what you talked about. So that's just to give you an idea about the level of simplicity in my lectures, that it will give you sufficient information that applies to your life. It will give you skills that you can apply in your life, but it will be so simple that you won't feel any kind of complex that you should have had a bio background to be able to understand those things. With that, I'll just wind up and I'll be waiting for the Q&A. Thank you, Amir.
Thank you, Dr. Saiba. I would now take the opportunity to introduce our students to one of our very bright and young faculty members, Zain Saeed. Zain has earned his master's in fine arts in creative writing fiction from the University of Texas at Austin. So like me, he's a Longhorn. Welcome, Zain, where he taught courses at UT on writing and American literature and was editor-in-chief at the Bath City Review. He's a practicing novelist and his research interests revolve around race. Zain, could you switch on your camera?
Hi, Dr. Amar. Can you see me?
Yes, now I see. So he's also curious about the evolution of language in fiction on race and how it has reacted to changing the landscape. I have worked with him in the faculty senate. He is at this very young age a very fine faculty with great attitude and extremely fun to work with. Then my question to you would be that what would you tell this young freshman the importance of going outside the school of AHSS and exploring electives in the field of natural science, given the fact that that you yourself has a very good exposure. So over to you, Zain, and thanks for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Amar, for inviting me here. I hope everyone can hear me okay. I'm not going to take a lot of time because I'm not the point of this discussion, but I would like to tell everyone that I am a practicing writer, and I do I work with a lot of students who produce media, who produce documentaries, who produce film in the CND department on campus. And one thing that I've always noticed is that I've been noticing a lot is that in recent times, all of us have been looking at these documentaries and looking at these films and reading these things that we've been reading, and it gets a little annoying when you find out that the person who's made these things doesn't actually know what they're talking about or has no background in what they're saying. Particularly now when lots of people are making documentaries and writing novels about disease and global health, it gets very frustrating when you read those things and you're like, okay, this person really doesn't know what they're talking about. So if you are someone who is interested in the creative arts and someone who would be producing things, making things, creating content in your time at Habib, it would be a great idea to take a lot of these courses because, and I agree with what Massimo said right at the start, is because these things will give you the language. They won't give you expertise. We're not saying you're going to become an expert in all of these. You're going to become an expert in nanoscience by taking one course. That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're looking for at all. But it will, again, as Massimo said, give you the language to understand what the experts say, to understand what the problems are, to understand what's going on in the world at a physical, biological, scientific level, which will obviously enable you to which will inform your work, which will form the raw material for everything that you produce, both within the creative arts and the humanities. I, for one, personally, during my literature degree, ended up, when Dr. Amar invited me to this 3 days ago, I just realized that I took a scientific research methods course at university. I don't remember why I took it. I'm pretty sure it was because my friends were in that class, as I'm sure all of you will also be taking classes in which your friends are. But then I realized that that one scientific research methods class that I took became the crux of my senior project in the humanities, because I kind of ended up using that for a lot of my research, using the skills that I learned there for a lot of my research. So yeah, it will surprise you how much taking courses outside of your discipline will benefit you in the course of your degree and also possibly after that. So I would encourage everyone that's on this call, and even people who aren't here and who might hear from you, to just explore, because I mean, university is about exploration, and I'm sure you'll find some very, very interesting and important things within these courses to use in both, again, as I said, your degree and your life in general. Yeah, thank you. That's pretty much it for me. I'll give it back to the instructors who will introduce you to more courses. And I look forward to seeing you in hopefully one of my courses too in the future. Don't take all science courses, please. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Zan. I would now request Dr. Humaira Qureshi to kindly switch on the camera. Dr. Humaira is our famous microbiologist. She completed her PhD in health sciences and microbiology from Aga Khan University in 2011. She then proceeded to do a postdoc at Aga Khan University in 2013. Her second postdoc was at the University of North Dakota, USA, where she worked on a number of areas, and she continues to churn out and design great courses that are famous with the students. She'll be talking about Public Health Bio 101. Over to you, Humaira.
Thank you, Dr. Amir Hassan. I hope all of you can hear me.
Yes,
I just
Humaira,
need confirmation. Okay,
Humaira, I can hear
because my mic has been giving problems. So in each of the first classes, I have to first check whether students can hear me or not. My greetings to the new students. Congratulations on getting into Habib University. I'm very excited that you are going to be part of this community. I'd like to tell you about the way I like to teach students. Okay, so to me, education is not just about giving you facts and details and bombarding you with all of this scientific information. It's more about being able to integrate what you learn into your daily life, and even whichever major you are pursuing. So for example, if you are pursuing social development and policy through cell biology and public health, you would know it would help you to create different health policies. And through this course, you would have some understanding about how the human body works, especially in the case of this pandemic. If you had some understanding, okay, if the virus is around, how does my body react? How does my immune system work? How does the virus take over the cell and start to multiply? And then why is it so important for me to do social distancing or to quarantine myself? So to me, I have to keep all of this biological knowledge with the perspective of how you conduct yourself in your daily life, and then of course in your fields as well. Okay. So in cell biology and public health, we also have a very nice lab component where students even get to learn about their different blood groups. You get to conduct different experiments. I don't know about next semester if it's all going to be online. Most probably, then we also have access to different softwares, which would help you learn a lot of the stuff. But even once if you do join this course, and if the semester is over, and then when we start to take physical classes, I would encourage you to have a look at the lab as well and come and see how we do experiments. So your knowledge should not be just limited to this course and this semester. I'm always open to having students come to me and ask me questions. A lot of the students from SDB, I do like to give examples. So a lot of the students approach me for their other projects. So for example, a student had not been able to take cell biology in public health, but he wanted to look at cat hairs under the microscope and compare them with human cells. Right? So how does a cat hair compare to human cells? So of course that is also made up of cells. So he was writing his report in his major, and I just like the fact that he could integrate this into his field. So that's all from me. I would like to end. I would like to request Yasin Bano to please share the video for my course. It has most of the details and how we do the different projects. I'm sure you already have seen the syllabus as well. I would just like to end with a quote from, not a quote, it's a review of my course, Cell Biology. And this was from a student who was a first-year student. Okay, so I just like to read it out to you. So like many, this is Mimna Jameel. Like many, I studied biology back in school, but never got to take it forward. This last semester, I got a chance to enroll in a natural science elective, about which I was a bit skeptical at first, that I won't understand it. I tried it anyway, and right from the first class, I found it interesting. Especially the labs, they were not only fun, but were very informative as well. I got hands-on experience of working in a well-equipped lab. Most important of all is the fact that instructors put in so much effort in explaining everything as well as they could, at times with activities, clips, projects, and whatnot. Lastly, I would like to say it's a good opportunity to experience and learn from these courses, even if someone is from AHSS like me, because if your campus has all these facilities, why waste the chance? Okay, thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you,
I'm open to
Humaira.
questions.
Thank you, Humaira. Thank you very much. I wish I had the luxury of, in my undergrad, to take so good electives. With that, I would now request Dr. Abdullah Khalid, if he could switch on the camera. Abdullah received his doctorate in physics in the area of quantum information from the University of Calgary in 2018. His research interests revolve around the study of quantum theory and relativity through the lens of information and computation theory. He hopes that his research can shed light on the fundamental questions that plague the field of physics, advance the frontiers of technology, and inform public debates on the role of science in modern society. Having worked and observed Abdullah, I can vouch that he has an exceptional mind, which is full of curiosity, and he's fun to talk to. He's going to talk about inventing the information age. So over to you, Abdullah.
Thank you, Dr. Amir. I hope everyone can hear me and see me. So this is the first natural science course that I'm offering because I just joined last year and I did not get the opportunity to teach any courses during this academic year. But I'm very excited to offer this course called Inventing the Information Age. Perhaps I can share my screen. It's not much of a presentation, but perhaps there are some words on there and pictures that will help me illustrate what I'm saying. So the core idea behind this course is that we live in this age where information is supreme, and everything we do has something to do with the digital technologies that we use, the computers that we are using right now to communicate, the phones that we use, the elections that happen and are moderated and changed by the algorithms that Facebook uses to promote or demote various discussions. These are all various things that we deal with every day and have tremendous impact on our lives. The motivation behind this course is to sort of understand some of the technical infrastructure that goes into creating all of these things in a very non-mathematical way, in a broader understanding, in order to get a broader understanding of these things. So generally, we are going to study things like what are the fundamental laws of physics without any maths, right? Like I'm not going to put down any, well, I might put down any equations on the board for fun, but we will never ever be testing you on anything equation related to physics, because it takes far too long to teach those things. I'm going to study what are the laws of physics that sort of govern the computers and satellites and fiber optic cables and everything else that you build the information age. We'll study some information theory which really changed the course of everything that came out. I don't know, some of you might have heard of Shannon or not, but his insights in right after World War II completely changed the course of history, and like this theory is like fundamental to the information age. I think cryptography is something without which I think the world that we live in would look completely different. The internet that we have and we use would not exist without cryptography. And in this course, we will sort of study some of the basic cryptographic protocols. Again, all graphical, very little math, if at all. Just trying to understand what are the capabilities of the cryptographic systems. Is something like, we'll ask ourselves a question, is something like electronic voting a viable idea? Can democracy be like, can you guarantee that your elections are democratic and fair and just if you use e-voting? And there are arguments on both sides of that question. Things like how do you deal with money online? Things like cryptocurrencies that that have been a thing for the past 10 years. Will they have a big impact in the future? What sort of math and science that goes into building this, and is it actually a viable thing to pursue? These are some of the questions, like the technical questions, that we will look at during this course to build our understanding of what the information age is. But we will also not only discuss technical things in this course. We will also discuss the impact of these technical discoveries, these inventions, these innovations on society at large. We'll definitely think about, like, as every invention was made, every innovation was made by scientists and engineers, what impact it had on society, and perhaps we will discuss whether those impacts are good or bad, and I think it will give you the sort of basic background necessary to sort of continue this discussion and debate into other courses and other parts of your life, and when you think about the impact of the information age on our lives. I think that's all that I have to say. I'll be very happy to answer questions regarding this course, and I hope to see some of you in my class. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you very much. Now we'll move to our the last course that we wanted to introduce, which is Introduction to Ecology and Evolutionary Biology. I would now request Dr. Sara Hasnan if she could switch on her camera, if that's possible. She completed her PhD from Queen's University in Canada and is an ecologist. Dr. Hasnan has extensive experience conducting research that addresses the policy needs, so something the SDP social development policy students should be looking after. Over the last 10 years, she has served as a data consultant, research contractor, and a fish habitat biologist. She has also served as an expert on the Canadian Science Secretariat. I know Sara to be brilliant and yet a very humble and down-to-earth faculty member. Over to you, Sara.
Hi, I hope you can hear me. Can everyone hear me?
Sara, I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to start off my introduction to my class by saying that I don't care about humans. So my entire life, I have not cared about humans. I don't think that this should be a center of focus of anything. And so my work and my research actually focuses on the other 99%, which is the rest of the life on this planet. And I'm going to start talking about that in my course, which is Introduction to Ecology and Evolutionary Biology. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and you should be seeing something on my screen. You should be seeing a lizard. Can everyone see a lizard on my screen? Yes?
Yes, sir, I can.
Perfect. Okay, so this lizard that you're seeing on my screen is similar to another species we find in our houses. This is an Italian wall lizard. And the story I'm going to tell you today is basically there's an island off the coast of Croatia called Pod Mrkaru, where these Italian wall lizards were introduced by scientists in 1984, about 36 years ago. They weren't there, and they were introduced there by scientists. And what scientists wanted to see was, do these wall lizards actually evolve and adapt to the biological and ecological and environmental conditions of these islands? And if they evolve, what do they evolve into? And so what we do know is from mainland Croatia, these lizards actually eat insects. And when they were moved to this particular island, there weren't that many insects on this island. And over a 36-year period, these lizards not only shifted their diet from eating insects to primarily eating plants, but also had changes in their bone structure. So their jaws got wider. They got teeth that are used for grinding insects, grinding plants. And so this is evolution that happened in the course of maybe slightly above the course of my own lifetime. I'm 32 years old, so this is like just 4 years older than me. And this is observable evolution. And so the goal of my course is actually going to be to sort of focus in on the natural world from the perspective of non-humans. Like I said in my introduction, I do not care about humans. And I think our relationship with the natural world is actually a bit more navel-gazing. So we actually focus on the natural world through our own perspective, but it's actually really important to think about the natural world also on its own without the human context. So in my course, I'm going to start off, look at the picture of Charles Darwin. We're going to start off with thinking about what evolution is and how it works in the natural world. Then we're going to study the history of the Earth and global climate patterns. So 300 million years ago, we were two supercontinents, and now we look like this. And in the future, we'll go back to being supercontinents. What does that mean? And how has that affected the development of life on Earth? To then current day, this is a picture. This is a map of global plant production across the world from NASA's Goddard Space Institute. And as you can see, all the green spaces are the places, let me just move this, all the green spaces are the spaces that is where the most plant production occurs. So why is this, why are these regions the regions where the most plant production occurs? What are the historical reasons, so evolutionary reasons for this, right, which link to the history of the Earth, but also what are the current day environmental conditions that lead to this? And then ending with the picture of the garbage dump, how have we as humans influenced these processes, and how have we as humans affected the world from, again, the perspective of organisms that are not human. So why should you take my course? If you are a history student or a natural science student, like if you're an AHSS student, you should take my course because you get to examine the world from a non-human perspective. I think most courses at this university or at every university are focused again on humans. I teach this course. The point of this course is that there's other life on this planet, and you should see what that life on this planet, how that life on this planet experiences environmental conditions, behaves, interacts with us, and also with other organisms. The second thing is that evolution underpins human behaviors. And so all of our human behavior, all of the tendencies that we have as humans, psychological and social tendencies, are actually inherited. And they're a result of millions of years of evolutionary history. And we actually carry this inheritance and baggage with us. And so if you really want to understand political and social systems, it actually helps to have a bit of an evolutionary background to understand, oh, this is the history of our species. We originated from this region, and therefore it could influence the way how we behave in certain scenarios. And also, if you're interested in history, why not extend your understanding of history to include the history of all of life on Earth, and also the history of Earth, right? Like the political and social systems you might be interested in, the cultural, the cultural things that you might be interested in are actually an extension of that, not separate. That's it for me.
Thank you, Sarah. With that, I would now open the session for the students. If they have any questions, the way we'll take them, you could unmute, you could raise your hands in the MS Teams and go ahead and introduce yourself and ask the question. And if you can also tell us that with whom you are asking the question, otherwise I'll direct the question to the panelists. Feel free to ask questions. You can even write it on the chat. For some of you who had to leave early, we have recorded the session. We will send the video link to everyone. One of the students had asked a question that she was taking an SDP core course that was conflicting with the course of Humaira Jamshed and wanted to know a workaround it. It might be very difficult, but I'm going to talk to the registrar and maybe give an official answer to Samrit the question. And I think she asked the question, so I'm going to go back to her as well. So please feel free to raise your hand in MS Teams if you have a question. Yasmin wants to say something. Yasmin, please go ahead.
I just want to respond to first question where the student has identified a scheduling conflict, right? So if a student can write back to us, we can change the section for social development and policy, right? So we can put her in another section so that she could enroll in Humaira Jamshed's elective.
Thank you, Yasmin. Any other questions?
Dr. Amir, can I say something?
Please.
Okay, so dear students, I just looked at the time and now it's 3:57. 1 hour just passed like that. So I'm just interested and curious to know your point of view. This semester we have offered 6 spectacular natural science courses for your for you, but in spring, hopefully we will offer more interesting courses depending on availability of faculty. And we would like to see more students from humanities department, from humanities background in our classes, so that we have more diverse and engaging environment. So if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. If you think that there is something that you are a skeptic of, or you think that there is something that you want a clarity on, just shoot your comments in the chat box. We would love to.
One of the students has asked a question. If for any reason they couldn't take the course this semester, the student is asking, will these electives be offered subsequently in the next semester or in the following year, so that the students can take it at a later time?
Every academic year, we have to offer natural science courses. So they are going to be rotating in different format. We will be having different courses, maybe on the same area, but a little bit different idea, or maybe a different course, maybe a tangent course, maybe, for example, these brilliant courses, global health, disease, bio 101, information age. So maybe next time when it is offered, it is maybe a different version of the same thought is offered. Introduction to nanoscience, for example, that is my course. So it can be offered like nanoscience for humanities, or nanoscience for a common person. So it might be a variant of the same form of course, or maybe the same, the one that you have just seen.
Thank you, Samina.
Thank you very much for this question.
Any other questions?
Do you think natural science faculty is very intimidating and discriminating? I mean, this is something that I would just like to know, because I have heard it off and on all the time, that they are not so, please, I would love to hear your views. I mean, we have such a brilliant set of faculty members in natural science courses. I assure you, they are very enthusiastic. They look forward to their students. They provide support. They are there to help them grow as students, as well as, in their fields as persons as well. So they are unparalleled to anything that you have seen before in your science classes. Do we have any other question?
So I think we have somebody from Student Success pointing out that that's not right. We love the iSciM faculty, and a lot of students really look up to the faculty in iSciM. I think
because we would like to see our students in our classes to verify that.
So thank you, Samina. I think we just have reached our time limit as well. I wanted to say a couple of things as a closing session. We would continue to use this channel or this chat group. If you have any questions with regards to the natural science electives, we will continue to react and to answer your questions. In the end, I would like to thank each and every student for taking the time out and listening to us. I'm also very thankful to the faculty. Besides, on top of the busy schedule they have, they were able to take the time out and they spoke to the students. And also, most importantly, to the Yasmin Bano and her team, the Student Success Office, for arranging these sessions. So if for any reason, if you can't take natural science elective because of any conflict, natural science electives would be offered in the next and in the next semester as well. and hopefully some of you would gravitate towards your interest. So with that, thank you very much. Khuda Hafiz from my side, and we are all excited to be receiving you in August and look forward to interacting with you. So faculty, students, and student success, thank you very much, and Khuda Hafiz, and take care of yourself. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amir. Goodbye, everybody. Khuda Hafiz.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you.